Part 5, 6 Feet of Freedom. Content warning. Intense physical and emotional strain, high risk. The crawl. The moment Julian's, 45M, footsteps faded, I, 30F, Alara, slid fully into the suffocating darkness of the coal chute. I shoved the small iron door shut, sealing myself into a narrow, earth-smelling tube. The antique key, the only real object of hope I possessed, dug into my palm. The tunnel was damp and restricted. Logan, 31M, had cleared the worst of the debris, but I had to crawl on my elbows and knees through cold, wet soil. My cashmere sweater was quickly ruined, but I didn't care. Every inch gained was an inch closer to life. I kept moving, focusing on the scent of damp earth and the promise of open air. After what felt like an eternity, I saw a faint, diffused light ahead, the end of the tunnel. The reunion. I reached the opening, a small, hidden hatch disguised with overgrown ivy on the exterior perimeter fence. Logan was there, waiting. He pulled the hatch open and reached in, his hands strong and sure, guiding me out of the narrow space. The moment I collapsed onto the cool grass outside the tunnel, he pulled me into a hard, desperate embrace. The air was heavy with the scent of pine and freedom. Alara, he whispered into my hair, his voice thick with raw emotion. I knew it. I knew he did this to you. He told me, Logan. He confessed. He brought you here to watch us both suffer. I gasped, clinging to him. The chemistry, suppressed by Julian's control and my guilt, was immediately back, a violent, urgent surge of shared danger and relief. But this wasn't the time for reunion. This was the time for strategy. The plan, the information weapon. We quickly retreated into the dense tree line a few yards from the fence. He has eyes everywhere, Logan stated, his eyes constantly scanning the dark perimeter. I found a secondary surveillance hub in the old pump house today. It records everything for 24 hours before transferring to Julian's remote server. We have a window. We can't just run, Logan, I insisted, pulling out the encrypted hard drive I had hidden in the hollowed-out book. A drive I'd taken from Julian's safe that morning under the pretense of retrieving my wedding jewelry. He'll track us and ruin us. We need insurance. Logan's eyes widened when he saw the drive. What is this? His true ledger. The real financials. The files on Operation Emerald, the cartel connections, the money laundering that got you framed. If we turn this over to the right people, Julian Thorn's wealth and power become his biggest weakness. The FBI won't touch this without proof he's a physical danger to them, Logan countered, shaking his head. They're too slow. We need something more immediate. The final target, the auction. I suddenly remembered a detail from Julian's endless phone calls. The Orion Diamond. Julian is hosting a closed-door, high-security auction for it at the Manhattan penthouse in 5 days. It's the highest concentration of dirty money and dangerous clients he will ever have in one room. It's his vulnerability. Logan's mind was already racing. An auction. High-profile clients. If we expose his ledger there, in front of his buyers, he doesn't just lose money. He loses trust and faces an immediate threat from the very cartel he serves. The new plan was formed. Use the hard drive as bait to lure Julian to the Manhattan penthouse and expose him during the most critical financial event of his life. We have 5 days to get to Manhattan, decrypt this drive, and find a safe contact. Where do we go now, Logan? He'll know we're gone by morning. Logan looked down at the key in my hand, the key to the coal chute. This chute leads out to the property line, but we can't go straight. He has motion sensors on the external road. We take the river. There's a small boat dock near the old lumber mill 3 miles downstream. I prepped a small boat today under the guise of clearing debris. We have maybe 6 hours before sunrise. The choice and the consequence. We started running immediately, deeper into the forest, heading towards the river. But as we broke through a thicket of brush, Logan suddenly stopped, his eyes fixed on a glint of metal attached to a high branch. It was a discreet, high-definition camera. Not Julian's primary surveillance, but a custom, hidden unit. It's a decoy camera, Logan whispered, pulling me down behind a large rock. Julian installed it 2 years ago. It only streams live to one device. Whose device? I asked, fear gripping my throat. Julian's. He probably checks this feed personally whenever he's away. He might have been watching us since we climbed out. My heart plummeted. Julian hadn't just missed us. He might have deliberately allowed us to escape, watching our entire conspiracy unfold live. He had confirmed my betrayal, and now he knew exactly where we were headed and what we were planning. The game was no longer an escape. It was a race against a predator who was several steps ahead. Part 6, The River and the Trap. Content warning. High adrenaline. Discovery of surveillance. Feeling of imminent danger. The race against dawn. The realization that Julian, 45M, might have watched their entire conversation injected a potent cocktail of panic and adrenaline into both Logan, 31M, and Alara, 30F. They abandoned all caution and ran, tearing through the woods toward the sound of the churning river. He knows about the drive, Alara panted, tripping over a root, her legs burning. He knows the target is the Manhattan auction. Then we don't have 6 hours. We have 5 days before he locks down the entire country. Logan snapped, hauling her up. He'll assume we're going public. We need to be invisible. They reached the riverbank near the abandoned lumber mill. Tucked beneath an overhang, shrouded by nets and brush, was the small, aluminum fishing boat Logan had prepared. It was rudimentary, but functional. They launched the boat quickly. Logan started the small outboard motor, and they pushed into the dark, flowing current of the Hudson River. Julian's ghost. As the Thorn Estate receded behind the tree line, replaced by the shadows of the sleeping towns along the bank, the immediate fear of being caught on land subsided, replaced by the dread of what Julian might already be doing. He can't track us on the river unless he deploys the Coast Guard, and that's too high profile, Logan said, his voice regaining some calm as he steered. Alara shivered, not from the cold, but from the realization of Julian's meticulousness. The custom surveillance camera. He put that there for a reason, Logan. He wanted to know the moment his property, me, was removed. Logan grimaced. He was playing us. He released me, watched us connect through the codes, and let us believe we had the upper hand, just so he could confirm our exact plan. Take the drive, go to Manhattan, expose him. He pointed to the encrypted drive in Alara's bag. That drive isn't our weapon, Alara. It's his bait. He wanted us to take it. The decoy in the dead end. Just as dawn began to paint the sky a soft, ominous gray, they reached a tiny, rundown marina that Logan had chosen as their drop-off point. They secured the boat and quickly located the dilapidated pickup truck Logan had bought months ago, long before his arrest, as a project car, and hid near a friend's farm. They drove south, but as they were approaching the main interstate leading to New York City, the burner phone Alara had kept hidden suddenly blinked to life, even though she hadn't activated it. It was a text message, not from Julian, but from an unknown number. $text, stop, $text, the farm truck is compromised. Your friend, Marcus, is dead. Turn back now, Alara gasped, grabbing Logan's arm. Marcus, that's the only person who knew about this truck. How? Logan slammed on the brakes, sending them skidding to a stop on the side of the desolate highway. His face was pale, his eyes wide with cold, stark terror. Julian didn't wait for us to escape, Alara. He made sure the path was safe for us, then cut off the retreat, Logan said, his voice flat. He must have monitored my prison visits, my old contacts, everything. He knew I'd come for the truck. Logan opened the glove compartment, pulled out a small, old GPS unit he'd stored there, and smashed it against the dashboard. The truck was a tracker. The minute we turned it on, he knew our bearing. The text wasn't a warning. It was a distraction to make us pause. The new route and the missing key. The interstate was now a death trap. They had to abandon the most direct route. The Appalachian Trail, Alara said urgently. It runs south, parallel to the interstate. We can hitchhike, take back roads, stay completely off the grid. It'll take us 2 extra days, but we disappear into the hiker crowd. They quickly took what little money they had, the essential documents, and the hard drive. They abandoned the truck and disappeared into the dense woods leading toward the trail. As they walked, Alara reached into her backpack to secure the hard drive. Her hands scrabbled against the items inside, but her fingers found only the empty, hollowed-out book. She froze. The hard drive, it's gone, she whispered, her voice catching. Logan stopped instantly. What? That's impossible. You had it in the West Wing. Alara frantically searched the backpack. I did. I put it in the book, but I remember setting the book down in the carriage house before we left the tunnel to make the final run, thinking I'd hide it better later. It was right there, by the chute door. Julian hadn't just watched them leave. He had waited until the perfect moment, knowing they would panic and leave the most crucial item behind. The hard drive, the only real proof, was back at the estate. Julian had the ledger, the woman who betrayed him was gone, and the ex-lover was running. He had dismantled their weapon, confirmed their intent, and now he had all the time in the world to prepare for the Manhattan auction. The escape had failed to achieve its primary objective. They were on the run, defenseless, heading for a confrontation without the one piece of evidence that could save them. Part 7. The Appalachian Ghost. The Trail of Panic. The loss of the hard drive stripped away their defense, leaving Alara, 30F, and Logan, 31M, brutally exposed. They were now fugitives with no proof, racing toward a confrontation with a powerful man who held all the cards. They merged onto the Appalachian Trail, instantly becoming anonymous faces in the stream of hikers. But anonymity wasn't enough. The paranoia was a living thing, crawling over their shoulders. Every hiker that passed them seemed to watch too long. Every distant drone sound from overhead seemed too deliberate. He knows we have nothing, Logan muttered as they hiked through a dense, foggy forest. He's probably already back in the city, cleaning up the mess and waiting for us to make the next move. We can't get to the auction without a plan B, Alara insisted. We need an insider. Someone he can't buy. Someone who fears the cartel more than they fear Julian. They had only 3 days left before the high-stakes auction at the Manhattan penthouse. The old contact, Mia. As a curator in the NYC museum world, Alara had once done consulting work for the State Department on art trafficking cases. During one particularly complex investigation, she had worked closely with a brilliant but disillusioned investigative journalist named Mia Vance, 40F. Mia was known for her ruthless pursuit of truth and her complete lack of fear. She had been blacklisted by Julian's PR firm years ago. Mia, Alara whispered, the name a lifeline. She works independently now, dealing only with major organized crime exposés. She fears nothing and loves taking down the powerful. Does she have a safe communication channel? Logan asked urgently. Yes. We used to use a dead drop, a specific edition of a book in a specific New York Public Library branch. It's the only line Julian won't trace because it's public, analog, and involves a person he thinks is irrelevant. A necessary risk in Baltimore. They hitchhiked to Baltimore, the closest major city with a dependable train line to NYC. They needed to execute the dead drop, which required a physical presence and an untraceable phone call. Disguised with cheap sunglasses and caps, they slipped into a busy downtown cafe. Alara used her cash to buy a cheap, disposable flip phone. No GPS, no smart features. She went into the restroom and made the call, a burner-to-burner connection to Mia's emergency contact number, which she remembered from years ago. The call was brief and cryptic. Alara, the collection piece, the golden cage, requires immediate review. I need to leave a note for the appraiser at the Rose reading table. Mia's voice, low, professional, understood. The appraiser will check the table at 2300 hours tonight. Bring the full inventory. Alara hung up, her hands clammy. Mia was in. The full inventory meant the whole story. Julian, Logan, the framing, the cartel links, and the upcoming Orion Diamond auction. The library drop. The drop was at the New York Public Library's iconic Rose main reading room. It was a cathedral of knowledge, and tomorrow, it would be the stage for their desperate plea. They took the overnight train from Baltimore to Penn Station, arriving in New York City just as the morning rush began. The city felt like an oppressive, familiar nightmare. Every taxi, every skyscraper, every polished surface belonged to Julian. They found a safe spot near Central Park, a large, transient homeless camp where two people lying low wouldn't raise suspicion. As the 2300 hours deadline approached, Alara prepared the note, a detailed, handwritten summary of Julian's cartel connections, the faked ledger, and the auction details, emphasizing the presence of highly dangerous international figures. She signed it simply, the Ghost of Emerald. She had to make the drop alone. Logan couldn't risk being seen in the city so soon after his prison release. The final step. Alara entered the grandeur of the library. She walked slowly, trying to project the calm confidence of a regular visitor. The clock on the wall read 22:50. She reached the massive, silent Rose main reading room. Her target, the third desk from the left on the central reading table. As she walked past the rows of reading lamps, she noticed something chilling. A man, well-dressed, wearing a subtle earpiece, pretending to read a newspaper, was sitting at the exact table she needed. He wasn't a student or a researcher. He was a silent, professional security guard. Then, her eyes scanned the room and locked onto a second figure. This man wasn't reading at all. He was sitting by the entrance, his eyes scanning the faces in the room. His face was vaguely familiar. A man she had seen once in a background photo on Julian's encrypted phone, labeled simply, Head of Security. Julian knew. He hadn't just predicted her move to Manhattan. He predicted her need for outside help. He hadn't stopped her from reaching out, but instead had secured the drop zone. Alara's heart hammered a frantic rhythm against her ribs. She was trapped in the open. She couldn't drop the note. It would fall right into Julian's hands. But she couldn't leave either, or Mia wouldn't receive the warning. She slowly walked past the reading table, pretending to browse the book spines. She reached the end of the aisle, her mind racing. She had one chance to signal Mia without being intercepted. She pulled the pen from her pocket and walked quickly to the public notice board near the exit. In large, clear letters, right next to the schedule for the next day's poetry reading, she scrawled a single, devastating sentence. $text, ***, Julian Thorn has the Orion Diamond. The deal is dirty. Don't trust the appraiser, $*$. She knew Mia would instantly recognize the style and the key code word, appraiser, from their cryptic call. It was a public, non-personal warning. As she turned to leave, the head of security moved toward the notice board, his walk deliberate and menacing. Alara slipped out the main entrance just as he reached the hastily scrawled message. She had gotten the warning out, but now, Julian's entire security apparatus was activated, and they were racing the clock with no safe haven left in the city. Part 8. The price of the Orion Diamond. Content warning. High action, physical confrontation, the hero's desperation. The urban pressure cooker. Alara, 30F, met Logan, 31M, near the makeshift camp, her face pale. He was there, Logan, his security chief. Julian anticipated the dead drop, she whispered. The whole city is compromised. We're running out of time. They knew Julian's, 45M, auction for the Orion Diamond, the centerpiece of his cartel operation, was scheduled for tomorrow night. Their window to act was shrinking to less than 24 hours. Mia got the message, Logan insisted, his hand firm on her shoulder. She's not stupid. She knows the public note means the danger is extreme. She'll be working on Julian's records now, but that won't stop the auction. We have to get inside the penthouse. Julian's penthouse was the most secure private residence in Manhattan. Getting in was impossible. There is one way, Alara said, a terrifying clarity in her eyes. He needs me for the auction. As his trophy. The beautiful, grieving wife who completes the perfect picture of wealth and stability. He won't cancel my appearance. The bait. Julian thrived on control. He needed to prove he was still in charge, even after his property ran away. Alara realized she had to turn herself in, not for surrender, but for infiltration. They found a secure, paper-hour internet cafe far downtown. Logan set up a dummy, encrypted email. Alara composed a short, devastating message addressed to Julian's private office. The message was calculated to appeal to Julian's ego and his possessive nature. It gave him the illusion of control, the wife returning, defeated. It was a guaranteed invitation. Within an hour, Julian's response came back. The final separation. The realization that they had to separate was agonizing. This is insane, Alara. He'll cage you again, or worse. Logan argued, holding her tight. It's the only way to get me past his security detail, she countered, pulling away. You need to stay invisible. Your mission is to secure Mia, confirm she has the proof, and be ready when I send the signal. The signal. At the auction's climax, Alara would smash the legendary Orion diamond, creating a distraction that would not only expose the illegal goods, but also trigger the chaos needed for Logan and Mia to act. Logan slipped a tiny, old, battered compass, a gift from his childhood, into her palm. If you get lost, if you need help, look at this. It will point you back to me. No matter what, survive. They shared a final, desperate kiss, a promise of a future that might never arrive, before Alara walked toward the heliport to meet her fate. The return to the golden cage. Julian's security team was cold, efficient, and overwhelming. They confiscated her cheap phone and subjected her to a full physical search, making sure she carried no recording devices or weapons. She was flown back to the penthouse. Julian was waiting. He wasn't angry. He was amused. My little Alara, he purred, running a finger down her jaw. So much effort for a 5-day jog, and all for a hard drive that never left the estate. You should know by now, darling, I don't lose. He forced her into a lavish evening gown, a terrifying act of reclaiming his property. Tonight, you will be the picture of devotion, he commanded, fastening a heavy sapphire necklace around her throat. Every guest, every buyer, will see the perfect, stable, beautiful trophy wife. You will stand by my side, and you will smile. The confrontation. The penthouse was swarming with the most dangerous, powerful figures in the world. Arms dealers, shadowy investors, and the silent, terrifying figures of the cartel leadership waiting for the diamond sale. Alara stood beside Julian, her hand locked in his iron grip, a dazzling, yet utterly dead woman. Just as Julian prepared to unveil the Orion diamond, a sudden disturbance erupted near the service entrance. A man, disheveled and frantic, burst into the room. It was Logan. He hadn't stayed behind. He had tracked her security detail back to the penthouse, bypassed the ground floor security using his old artist knowledge of the service conduits, and was now here, exposed, unarmed, and directly challenging the most dangerous man in the room. Alara, don't listen to him. He's lying. He has no proof against me, Logan shouted, his voice echoing through the stunned silence of the room. Julian's smile vanished, replaced by an expression of cold, murderous rage. He saw Logan not as a threat, but as a foolish, final loose end. A shame, Julian said calmly to his guests, pulling a silenced handgun from the inside of his tuxedo jacket. The gardener has gone mad. Security will take care of this. But before security could move, Julian raised the gun, not at Logan, but directly at Alara. You tried to run, Alara, he stated, his voice ringing with absolute finality. And for that, you both lose. Part 9, Obsidian Chaos. Content warning, extreme violence, high-stakes action, and explosive confrontation. The final second. Julian, 45M, raised the silenced gun, aiming it directly at Alara's 30F head. The ballroom, moments before buzzing with greed, fell into a paralyzed silence. Logan, 31M, knew he was too far away to stop the shot. His last action, the moment he burst into the room, had been a desperate gamble. As Julian's finger tightened on the trigger, Logan did the only thing he could. He threw the small, battered compass, the one he had given Alara earlier, across the room. It struck the heavy glass dome covering the Orion diamond with a sharp, metallic clang. The noise was minuscule, but the distraction was absolute. Julian, obsessed with the diamond's security, instinctively flinched, momentarily breaking his concentration. In that split-second hesitation, Alara acted. She ripped the heavy sapphire necklace from her throat, a gift Julian had used to symbolize her ownership, and flung it with all her strength at Julian's face. The heavy sapphire struck Julian's temple, hard. The shot went wide, hitting the marble wall behind Alara with a dull thwomp. The destruction. Chaos erupted. The cartel figures immediately assumed a hostile takeover. Julian roared in pain and fury, momentarily blinded. Alara didn't run. She bolted straight for the pedestal holding the diamond. Using the heavy, pointed heel of her designer shoe, she smashed the remaining glass dome covering the Orion diamond. The priceless, massive blue diamond was exposed. She grabbed the first heavy silver gavel she could find from the auctioneer's table and brought it down with savage force onto the Orion diamond. Crack! The legendary diamond, the heart of Julian's illicit empire, shattered into 1,000 glittering, useless pieces. The resulting explosion of financial and criminal rage was instantaneous. The takedown. The cartel men, led by a ruthless man named El Tigre, immediately abandoned Julian. The sight of their shattered asset, their collateral for billions in dirty money, made Julian an instant liability. He is compromised. He destroyed the asset. El Tigre roared in Spanish, pulling his own weapon. Julian was no longer the powerful host. He was the target. As the armed security detail descended into anarchy, Logan tackled Alara, dragging her behind the massive marble fireplace just as the first wave of gunfire broke out between Julian's loyalists and El Tigre's crew. Alara, the rooftop. Logan shouted over the noise. It's the only way out. The backup plan. As they scrambled towards the penthouse's private elevator, a door near the back service entrance burst open. It wasn't more security. It was Mia Vance, the investigative journalist, flanked by two highly trained individuals wearing tactical vests marked FBI. Mia saw Alara and Logan and immediately pointed toward Julian, who was desperately trying to retreat into his fortified study, clutching his bleeding temple. He's the target. Julian Thorn. Mia yelled to the FBI agents, holding up a printout of bank ledgers. We have the decrypted files. The cartel is here. Logan froze. The decrypted files? How? Mia pointed to the note Alara had scrawled on the library board. Your warning about the appraiser being dirty was enough. I bypassed the dead drop, contacted the FBI with an anonymous tip about the diamond's illegal provenance, and told them to arrest the appraiser and seize his encrypted laptop. The hard drive was just bait. The real ledger was on the appraiser's device. Alara's quick thinking had not only warned Mia, but secured the very proof they needed. Julian's last stand. Julian, seeing the FBI and realizing his empire was collapsing, made one last desperate move. He bypassed the elevator and ran for his private helicopter pad on the roof. Alara and Logan gave chase, following him up the service stairs. They burst onto the windy rooftop just as Julian, handgun still in his grasp, reached his helicopter. The pilot was frantically starting the blades. You chose the artist, Alara. You chose poverty and death. Julian screamed, raising the gun one last time. But Julian's focus was on the human threat. He failed to see the most important element, the FBI snipers positioned on the adjacent skyscraper. As Julian aimed at Alara and Logan, a single, sharp sound cut through the wind. Julian's gun clattered harmlessly onto the roof, his shooting arm dropping uselessly to his side. The helicopter pilot immediately cut the engine, raised his hands, and surrendered to the descending FBI unit. Julian Thorn, paralyzed by the clean shot, was finally neutralized. Alara and Logan collapsed onto the cold concrete, the sound of sirens and helicopter blades filling the air. They were alive. They were free. Part 10, The Aftermath and the New Beginning. Content warning, final resolution, legal aftermath, and emotional closure. The ashes of the empire. The days immediately following the auction chaos were a blur of FBI questioning, evidence presentation, and the overwhelming noise of the international scandal. Mia Vance's quick thinking, securing the appraiser's laptop containing the mirrored ledger, proved to be the key. The FBI's operation not only captured Julian Thorn, 45M, and several high-ranking cartel figures like El Tigre, but also dismantled a significant part of the global money laundering network operating under the guise of high finance. Julian was immediately indicted on counts ranging from fraud and money laundering to conspiracy to commit murder related to Logan's framing and the death of Marcus. His assets were frozen. The golden cage was dissolved, its foundations exposed as pure corruption. Alara, 30F, and Logan, 31M, were granted temporary immunity in exchange for their testimony, crucial to linking Julian's financial structure to the cartel operations. The final face-off. A week later, Alara was allowed to visit Julian in a high-security federal holding facility for a final, supervised confrontation. Julian was pale, his arrogance replaced by a quiet, simmering resentment. You destroyed everything, Alara, he sneered, his voice low and venomous. You had luxury, security, and power. You chose the dirt and the struggle. I chose life, Julian, Alara replied, her voice steady. I chose the truth. Your power was built on death and lies. And I chose not to be your collateral damage. You'll never escape the life I gave you, Julian vowed. Every diamond you see, every penthouse you pass, will remind you of what you threw away for that pathetic artist. Alara finally looked down at her bare left hand. The massive diamond ring was gone. You never gave me anything, Julian. You only took. And tonight, I'm taking back the one thing you stole, my name. The resolution of the past. Logan's name was officially and completely cleared. The police, forced to admit the manipulation of evidence, apologized for the wrongful imprisonment. The community that had ostracized him now hailed him as a victim. However, the scars remained. Logan wasn't the same carefree artist who had gone to jail 3 years ago. Alara and Logan spent weeks in a quiet, coastal town, away from the city's media storm. They had to redefine their relationship, which had been reborn in fear and conspiracy, not in peace. I still don't understand how you married him, Logan confessed one evening, sitting on a weathered porch, watching the sunset. After all we had, I married him to save you, Alara admitted, meeting his gaze. I know it cost us everything, including the trust we had, but I couldn't live knowing you were rotting in a cell because of a lie I could potentially stop. It was a painful truth, but it was honest. They were two survivors, not just two lovers. They had to build a new love, forged in the ashes of the old one based on absolute, brutal honesty. The new beginning. 6 months later, Julian Thorn was tried, convicted, and sentenced to multiple life terms in a supermax facility. His name became synonymous with corporate and criminal betrayal. Alara received a substantial reward for her cooperation and a portion of the seized assets, which she immediately donated to organizations fighting wrongful conviction. She rejected the idea of returning to the wealthy, corrupt world of New York's art scene. Logan, healed and inspired, poured his trauma and resilience onto canvases. His new work, raw, dark, and powerful, quickly gained international attention. They bought a modest, light-filled house overlooking the Pacific coast in California. It was small, far from the shadows of Manhattan, and filled with the scent of salt and paint, not expensive liquor and fear. They didn't get married again. They didn't need a certificate or a diamond. One morning, Logan presented Alara with a small gift, a tiny, intricately crafted pendant made of pure, black, volcanic obsidian, a stone that symbolized protection and grounding. This isn't a replacement for the sapphire or the diamond, Logan said gently, fastening the pendant around her neck. This is protection. This means no more secrets, no more cages. Just us. Here. Alara reached up, touching the cool, dark stone. She looked at the man who had risked his freedom for her, the man she had betrayed to save. They had chosen the struggle, and in doing so, they had finally chosen true freedom. She smiled, a genuine smile that finally reached her eyes. The nightmare was over. The future, earned through blood and courage, was finally theirs.